If you gave a teenage lizard a hoodie, $100 billion, and a mild obsession with ancient Roman emperors, you'd either create a comic book villain or you'd get Mark Zuckerberg. He blinked once on live TV, and the internet screamed, "He's buffering." This is the man who drinks water like he's reading a tutorial, who wears sunscreen like he's in witness protection, who talks about the metaverse like he's pitching it to aliens. But what if the weirdness isn't just weirdness? What if it's camouflage? Because behind the awkward pauses and half smiles is a man building the most powerful surveillance empire in human history. We think of him as the Facebook guy. But what if that was just step one? What if Mark doesn't just want to connect the world? What if he wants to control the world? So I'll ask you this, and think carefully. Is Mark Zuckerberg trying to save humanity, or is he becoming its final boss? Let's rewind. It's 2004. A 19-year-old Harvard sophomore in a hoodie, socially awkward but with a brain wired for code, launches something called the Facebook. What started as a campus social directory became, in less than a decade, one of the most powerful digital platforms in human history. But here's what most people forget. From the beginning, Mark Zuckerberg wasn't just building a network. He was engineering a data machine. According to a 2010 article in The New Yorker, Facebook's architecture was designed not just for social interaction, but for data extraction. Every like, every photo, every scroll became a signal, a data point, a resource. And Mark, he was paying attention. In a leaked 2004 chat, Zuckerberg referred to early users as, quote, dumb f***. Why? Because they willingly handed over personal information without asking questions. Fast forward to today, Meta, the company formerly known as Facebook, oversees platforms used by over 3.1 billion people every month, according to a 2023 report by The Times UK. That includes Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and now Threads. With each product, Zuckerberg expanded Meta's reach and deepened its control. Newsfeed gave Meta power over what billions saw first each day. Instagram let it analyze your lifestyle. WhatsApp captured your private conversations. And with Oculus, Meta now tracks eye movements, gestures, and even physical space. This wasn't coincidence. It was strategy. This is not the story of a boy genius who stumbled into power. It's the story of someone who quietly built an empire, not through charisma or luck, but through relentless systemic control. Meta today reaches a staggering 3.43 billion daily active users, up 5.9% from March 2024. That's over 40% of humanity. Every click, like, scroll, and share flows through Meta's pipelines. But it gets creepier, 3.4 billion users, feeding personal, biometric, motion data, shadow tracking of non-users, government data, handovers skyrocketing, multi-billion-dollar fines. And yet Meta continues to expand. Mark Zuckerberg isn't just running a social network. He's building a global surveillance infrastructure, an empire born of data dominance. Meta has spent over $46 billion on Metaverse projects since 2021, according to a Motley Fool analysis. That's enough to buy Iceland twice, or fund universal basic income for a small country, for the sake of virtual worlds. But so far, Reality Labs, the division building VR, AR, and smart glasses, has generated just $6.3 billion in revenue over 3 years and lost over $40 billion, per Motley Fool. Even with these losses, they're doubling down. In 2025, Meta plans to release new Quest headsets, AI-powered Ray-Ban smart glasses, and cost-cut the Metaverse division by 20%, a move estimated to save about $3 billion, according to Bank of America. Why? Because Zuckerberg sees Metaverse not as a fancy console, but as a new layer of reality, one he can program, observe, and yes, control. Meanwhile, Meta is accelerating its AI ambitions on two fronts. First, content moderation. In 2025, Meta began replacing tens of thousands of human moderators with AI systems. By one recent report, over 96% of harmful content takedowns were flagged automatically in 2023. Second, generative AI and chatbots. Leaked documents from June 2025 reveal Project Omni. AI studio bots are being trained to reach out proactively, remember past chats, and keep you engaged. And Meta forecasts that its generative AI could generate between $2 and $3 billion in revenue this year. They're merging these efforts into a single strategy: control the content pipeline, build AI that moderates, that engages, that generates narratives, all within Meta's ecosystem. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's a digital infrastructure designed to influence beliefs, shape behavior, and even steer perceptions. You might laugh at the idea of Mark Zuckerberg as a supervillain, but not all villains wear capes. Some just wear gray hoodies and write Python. He speaks slowly, rarely shows emotion, and always seems rehearsed. That's not a glitch. That's intentional. According to a 2022 report in Harvard Business Review, leaders who show minimal emotion are often perceived as more powerful and calculated, especially in high-stakes environments. Zuckerberg's robotic calm isn't just personality, it's strategy. Now zoom out. This isn't just about productivity, it's about control. Meta's platforms influence how over 3 billion people see the world. They decide what news reaches your feed, what content trends, what narratives survive. And that's just the beginning. In leaked 2024 documents reviewed by The Intercept, Meta's internal Project Underworld aimed to forecast political sentiment shifts across regions, using AI models trained on cultural data, local trends, and public engagement patterns. Let that sink in. Imagine that, your world, curated by a corporation. Meanwhile, Meta's AI tools like Omni don't just wait for you to ask something. They remember past chats, they proactively reach out. In 2025, Meta forecasted up to $3 billion in revenue from these generative bots alone. Pair that with behavioral data from Instagram, messaging patterns from WhatsApp, eye tracking from Quest headsets, and you don't just have influence, you have a feedback loop of reality construction. Input, perception, reaction, all filtered through Meta's infrastructure. This isn't just market dominance, it's narrative control, legislative influence, and environmental design, bundled into one smooth, user-friendly interface. And the most unnerving part? It doesn't feel threatening. There are no red flags, no sirens, just a clean login screen, a blue thumbs up, and a gentle voice saying, "Welcome back." You don't notice the empire growing because it grows behind the scenes. Quiet, efficient, unchecked. This is why Zuckerberg's arc feels less like a CEO story and more like a Bond villain in real time, the kind who doesn't destroy the world. He rebuilds it, on his terms. The scariest villains aren't loud. They're systemic, and this one's already inside your phone. So now I'll ask you, is Mark Zuckerberg building a benevolent digital future? Or are we just NPCs in the beta version of his private simulation? Let me know what you think in the comments. And one more thing. If Mark was a supervillain, what would his villain name be? Drop your best one below. Funniest answer gets pinned.